Hey there friends, Dave Paulides, Canadian Missing Project, a copyrighted edition for our video channel, and the executive producer of the show, Huck, is in the room. And she just got done playing outside, and she's in here monitoring what's going on, looking at Dad going, Dad, what are you doing? Why are you standing up behind that machine? And she'll give me a critical review at the end of the day, of course, but she's been a good girl today. She's always a good girl. She always looks after us, and yeah, you're a good puppy. Oh, yeah. And you notice Pyrenees have eyelashes. These blonde eyelashes. They're beautiful. She's a good girl. We'll see how long she... Oh, big yawn? It's getting late for you, isn't it? Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you a question. So... books. I'll ask you a question about this. Why do we read books? Why not just spend our life watching videos? Well, for the people who have gone to school, specifically college, you have to read a lot. Do you ever think why they don't give you videos just to watch? And why they give you books to read? You ever think about that? Well, let's talk about that for a second. And I think it's important. Why is it important? Well, I get asked a million questions every week. I get asked questions all the time. Hey Dave, is this one of your cases in your books? And have you looked at this case? And it seems as though people will randomly go and watch somebody else's video about an incident, believe it, and then come back and ask if I've done it. So after all of the books I've written, 12 about missing people, I got to tell you that the most commonly asked question is, have you looked into this kidnapping or this murder or this serial killer? No, we don't look into traditional human-on-human crime. And we only look at missing people that fit this defined category that took us years to define. Missing 411, the UFO connection. I can't believe how many people have not watched that. And Missing 411, The Hunted, our second movie. The second and third movies, it's phenomenal because we did some research. How many people have not watched those? And I'm not sure what it is because they're so widely available right now on Amazon. Anybody can watch them. Please go and watch them. A lot of the answers are there. One of the most commonly asked questions, Dave, please tell us what is going on. Watch the movies. Watch the movies. And read the books. If I tell you something and you don't know me real well, you don't believe my credibility or integrity, and I haven't earned that from you, then whatever I say, if it's not in your wheelhouse, it's going to go. So I'm reluctant to throw things out. I've always been very reluctant to throw ideas out because I know you are smart enough to figure this out on your own. And whatever we can't figure out on our own, as a village, we can and we will figure it out. Now, why is it important to watch the videos, read the books? Well, I don't like to repeat myself in every video about things I say. Why is that? Because you guys get bored. So the other day, somebody asked about, well, why don't you go after this criminal case? I explained it. And then, why don't you go after this person who disappeared in Nova Scotia? Well, that doesn't fit our profile, okay? Just so everybody knows, the profile points are at the beginning of every book. I've talked about this a million times. I won't go into it again. But we like to stay within that wheelhouse. That is not to say that every once in a while I'm going to give you a case that has really very little to do with missing 411, but hits me 10x in my heart. And I really don't care what anyone thinks. I'm going to talk about it if I think I can help that family. And that's what we're going to do today. One of the groups that I've talked about extensively in the past is physicians. And I'm not kidding you when I say missing physicians are some of the most unusual cases I've ever documented. I mean, really weird. One physician coming home from a party disappears for 6-7 hours. He's found in the middle of a freeway as though he was dropped. No place to drop from. He was in the middle of the freeway dead, and he hadn't been hit by a car. Another physician found miles away from a group he was hiking with. No tracks through the snow to where he was found. Seemed to be dropped down a mountainside. I've got a bunch of those. They're all physicians. They were all super good physicians. I'm going to tell you about another one. Now, whereas those cases I just talked about involve 411 cases, the jury's still out on this one. But when I hey, don't you just blew out somebody's ears. Hey, Huck, what's wrong with you? We're doing this one kind of late. And when it gets dark out, she gets jumpy. Pyrenees are known to watch the herd. And they let out little whoops, and things to let predators know they are there and to stay away. So when she's in the house, she doesn't realize, hey, there's no predator around. But that's okay. That's what she does. You're a good girl. Yeah, you're a good girl. So the case involves a physician named Graham Road Case, 47 years old. Missing June 22nd, 2023, a very recent case. He was a resident of Medford, Oregon. He was a big man, 6'3", 220. Not heavy, but a big man. You're not going to miss him. Now, I'm going to show you two pictures of him. This is the Oregon driver's license photo. Fairly recent. He was employed by Medford Radiology, physician radiologist. He was really good and loved immensely by everyone. Now here's another picture of Graham. Kind of a lighter mood. It's probably what he looked like when he disappeared. Now, he disappeared in the late afternoon of June 22nd. It was a Thursday. Interesting backstory on this. July 31st, 2022, about 11 months before he disappeared, or 11 months, before he disappeared. So his wife, name was April, had an aggressive brain cancer. And he and his wife traveled across North America getting the best consultation on how to go after this brain cancer. Unfortunately, it didn't save her life. She passed away. It was devastating to his 3 kids and Graham and his family. They all loved April immensely. He had a 6-year-old son, and he had 2 daughters, 12 and 15. Graham knew he had always lived by this edict that family was the most important thing in his life. And now with his wife gone, his kids were the most important. And he brought his mom over to live across the street from him. While he worked, his mom would take care of the kids. Well, in June of 2023, Graham and his family took a trip to Mexico. And while he was there, he lost his phone. Well, he came home and he found his computer was not operational. So he started working on it. And then at 4:30 on the afternoon of June 22nd, he got into his car and he went down and he was going to go get the computer fixed. His mom saw him back down his driveway in his car and leave. Now, pay close attention. See these big lips on the back of the car? This is Graham's car. 2014 Mercedes GL 450. It's an SUV, it's white. License plate is WC, like William Charles 26068. This car is still missing a year later. This is what the car looks like. So that is the actual back of the car. Those big lips will stick out if you ever see it. So, backs out the driveway. Family don't know what happened. He vanishes. Well, he didn't show up to work. Didn't show up back at his house. Mom takes care of the kids. And the family starts to rally. Mom calls in a missing person report. Medford police comes out and takes it. They quiz her about where would play, in the off chance he went to a place to clear his mind, where would he go? And she gave him 5 places. His sister lived in Klamath Falls. They talked to her as well. They never released those 5 locations, but police said that they checked them all. Now here's a little known fact that the police let go in this investigation. Near big cities in Oregon, the freeways have an identification system. They have cameras. So let's say in Medford, you're shopping, you come out and your car's stolen. You call in the police immediately put that license plate number in their system. And every camera is activated looking for that stolen plate. In this instance, they put Graham's car plate in that system. So everywhere they're looking for that license plate. And bizarrely, the license plate never comes up in their system. And I gotta say that's bizarre because that is highly unusual. But they searched all these locations multiple times. They put planes up and helicopters up looking for the car at these locations. Never found them. I think it's important in these instances to get a feeling for what kind of person Graham was. Now, he worked for Medford Radiology. The president was a man named Seth Urban. He wrote this. He said, Graham was a very affable, incredibly nice, and all-around lovely person. We've been getting calls from all different corners of our medical community and elsewhere, reaching out with genuine concern. It just gives a perspective as to how beloved he is. I think that's important. I have no idea, nor does anybody else, what happened to Graham. Now, he was coming up on that 1-year anniversary of his wife passing. And he had just come back from a really good vacation with his family. And he disappears. Could he have been suicidal? I don't know him, but from what everybody says, family was the number one thing to him. He knew he had young kids he had to take care of. Those were everything in his life. Now, I will say this. Strangeness happens on many of these cases I talked to you about. First of all, the number one tool that police would use to figure out where Graham was going, where he had been, what he had searched for, is his phone. Well, that was lost in Mexico. So that's gone. Number two thing that police would definitely go on this is they'd come into the home and they'd search what he had been searching for on his computer. Let's just say directions to Crater Lake National Park. Well, that would give them an idea of maybe where he was going to visit or whatever. But both of those items were either broken or gone. The circumstances of this are odd, very odd. Now, I want to give you a location. So, this is the California-Oregon border. This is Medford right here. If you've never been there, I like it. It's a cool town. And I used it as a jumping off point when I did the research at Crater Lake National Park. The ride, especially through Prospect and Union Creek, is exceptionally beautiful. There's some campgrounds in here that are really nice. And just recently, another person is missing here at Lake of the Woods, a mushroom picker. I did a segment on it. If you haven't seen it yet, it'll come up soon. If you have seen it, then you know about it. This area of Oregon has several disappearances, to say the least. Now, I am not saying that Graham is related to those disappearances. But if I could do anything for that family, his two girls and his young son and his mom and his sister, I'm going to do it. One last time, please pay attention. That Mercedes license plate, the big lips, white license plate number. Pay attention to it if you're anywhere in the Western U.S. Heck, that car could be anywhere in the United States or Canada. All right? And one last time, Graham, I hope you're okay, buddy. Yeah, those cases, that's one of those cases that really bothers me. Life is tough. Sometimes not very forgiving. Being resilient in the worst of times is something we're not trained to do. I don't know how you can learn to do it. And it's obvious that many people don't and can't. I was just reading an article about our soldiers. And during the last 3 years, they have a greater chance of dying by suicide than dying by an act of violence in any type of war or conflict. That really gets me mad. Gets me mad that our military hasn't responded to this faster and more effectively. We're in tough times. I mean, I'm not talking politics, I'm talking inflation, I'm talking people not wanting to work, not feeling like they can work. And mental health is just a general issue in the everyday world. But the sun will rise tomorrow. And the only reason you feel real sad sometimes, think about this. The only reason you can feel really sad is because you know how it feels to be really happy. Those happy times will come back. You just have to get over that hump. Take a deep breath, minute by minute, hour by hour, you'll get there, I promise. We're all in here together. We're all just trying to be good people living in a world that offers us great challenges. And I hear from you all many times about the sons and daughters and relatives you've lost to suicide. We are part of a club that no one deserves to be in. Really. Okay, I'm pulling myself up. You pull yourself up. Let's talk about the next case. One good thing is my dog's asleep, so she's not going to make any more noise. Next case involves a man 66 years old named Bruce Fairfax. Went missing October 14th, 2017 in the afternoon. He disappeared from a place called Duckhole Lake Trailhead in Tasmania. He was a resident in Launceston. In 2012, Bruce got diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Horrible disease. And he's a retired teacher from Launceston Church School. Highly religious, much beloved. Bruce was always in good physical condition. He liked to hike, and he and his wife hiked a lot. But as time went on, Bruce's cognitive skills started to slide. He was last seen wearing an orange and red jacket and blue pants. Well, orange and red jacket. Let's talk about that for a second. There was recently an article that the National Park Service put out about what they're requesting people who go on hikes wear. I thought that was a little weird, but they want you to wear bright colors. Well, why did they want you to wear bright colors? Because in case you get lost, you're easier to see. Well, Bruce was wearing colors that would be easily seen, and his wife probably helped him with that. He was married to Louise, married for essentially a lifetime to Louise, who was a professor at the University of Melbourne. Both were super active people and were always physically engaged somehow, trying to stay in shape. Now, they were on a 2-kilometer trail or track with their dog named Tessa. It was essentially a bowl that was surrounded by forest. Nothing in the track that they walked around, but it was out there. This is Bruce. Friendly man, excellent shape. Cognitive skills just started to slide a little, but he knew what was going on. And he enjoyed the outdoors immensely with his wife. And they had 2 daughters. Now this is Tasmania. It's where they lived. And then it was about a 4-hour drive down to the southern part of the island at Duck Hole Lake Track. This area, Franklin Gordon Wild Rivers National Park, Southwest National Park right here, very wild, very thick, not many people. So Louise and Bruce go on this hike. It's not that far. But Louise was in really good shape for an older lady over 60. That's not old anymore. And she was kind of outpacing Bruce. Well, right next to the trail was a couple of picnic tables, and she told Bruce, "Hey, I'll meet you at the picnic tables. Tessa's going to stay with you." He said, "Great." So Louise goes ahead, reaches the table, waits for Bruce, doesn't arrive. She gets nervous, backtracks, doesn't see Bruce or Tessa. It's an extremely obvious trail. So 2 hours after Bruce doesn't arrive, Tessa arrives. And Louise calls the police. And she called her daughter, Yelena, to come help. And Yelena started responding. Late in the afternoon, search and rescue had already arrived, and several canine teams as well as a helicopter were requested. The police interviewed Louise. She said what I told you. He had Parkinson's disease. Still, he could hike a long ways. He had a little cognitive issues at times. Explained what he was wearing. Explained that this hasn't happened before. And the police officers requested a full call out the next day with as many teams as possible today, the 14th. Well, they searched late into the night. Again, Tessa arrived about 2 hours after Bruce disappeared. Too bad we couldn't talk to dogs. They could tell us so much. Tessa could explain this whole situation. October 15th, a helicopter arrives with FLIR, forward-looking infrared. They start looking. They had several search team dogs combing the area. They had about 100 ground pounders in there. Their second daughter, Louise and Bruce's second daughter, Kristen, arrives, and all of them are all out on that trail looking. The three women explained that Bruce had a very good hiking endurance, had put hundreds, if not thousands of miles hiking on trails. Again, another day, they don't find anything. The 16th, police reviewed the grid patterns they'd been using. They re-interviewed the family members, and they had a difficult time understanding how anybody could get lost so quickly on this track. October 17th, a huge push, found nothing, no evidence. Search and rescue organizers take the family aside. I've told you this is exactly what they do. And they say, we've done this, we've done this, we've done this, we've done this, we've done this. The chances of someone surviving are this. What do you think we should do? What they're trying to do is they're leading you down the path to say, I don't think you can do anything more. That's probably enough. And that's what the family said. They agreed that Bruce could not have survived any longer in the bush than it was right now. They pull out. That was the end of the search. November 3rd, about 2 weeks later, they have a memorial service for Bruce. During the following couple years, there were articles that Louise gave where she talked about missing Bruce. She talked about how the trail was like her savior. It's where she could clear her mind, and she went out there several times alone in different locations to clear her mind. She said she had a big obstacle in August of 2022, about 5 years after the disappearance. The Tasmanian law says that you're presumed dead if you're missing for 7 years, so she couldn't get a death certificate. Folks, this is a big deal to family. If you own property together or things together, it's a big deal. And Louise kept hiking, clearing her mind. In the years after Bruce disappeared, I find this very unusual. The Tasmanian police opened a criminal investigation into Bruce. Not him doing anything wrong. And they never explained why. But it's been years since they opened it. They've never said anything about why. They never said the direction of the investigation. Just gone. But as you know, people disappearing with dogs, canines. Canines not finding a scent trail, 2. Point of separation, 3. Louise walks ahead, Bruce falls behind. Weather. It got really cold at nights there. That's why they're saying Bruce couldn't have survived with what he was wearing. And, I've said this a million times, but people who disappear tend to have unusual things wrong with them. Diseases, health conditions. Bruce, Parkinson's disease. I can't explain it. Bruce has never been found. I don't understand how that can happen. Nor can anybody else, which is probably why they opened up the criminal investigation. Now, I don't want to get a lot of hate mail over my coverage of Dr. Case's disappearance. But if I do, I don't care. I'm here to do a service as well as to educate. I know I've got a lot of viewers out there in Oregon because I hear from you all the time. So, in the case disappearance, I mean, if you could take this right off the computer screen and make a poster out of that and put it up, that'd be great. Because that is an actual poster in itself that I'm showing you. And the picture of Graham. And the picture of Bruce. Happy soul. In the meantime, be kind. This is the kindness revolution. In these tough times, we need to be really kind, more so than ever. It costs nothing. Smiles are free. I hope you're doing well, and I greatly appreciate you being here. Please make sure you're subscribed. I can't believe how many people have been forcibly unsubscribed. And make a note in your comments if you've not getting notifications of the videos. It helps. Please put this on your social media. You take care. See you soon. Paulides out.